everyone, and welcome to the Team Venom Comics show. I'm your host, Rory Bailey, joined by a very, one more time for the good time, very special guest in my good compatriot, Mr. Connor Franks, the author and illustrator of the new hit comic book series, Sins of Limbo. Connor, how's it going?
It's good. Very, very special guest, the guy who does every single one of these with you.
Yeah, I know.
It's an honor to be here.
On your 175th appearance, which is probably actually true.
Oh, fuck. We're probably close to 200 at this point.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, we could just pretend that it is.
Yeah.
But the main purpose of this wonderful little video is to highlight that your comic has just arrived with the pair of us today.
It has indeed.
Which is a wonderful little thing, that the same sort of size format as the suit comics and such. And firstly, I know the answer to this, but for the benefit of the viewers and listeners and such, what inspired you to create Sins of Limbo?
Well, I figured your fat ass can get off the chair and do something creative and create a comic, so can I.
I mean, mine was the benefit of furlough.
Mine was spite.
And it worked well because it is really good. It's a really good read, so, to be fair. But yeah. Sorry. While we're talking, I've been flicking through. Yeah, it is pretty cool. So yeah, no, well done, man. I'm very proud of you for doing it and such, even if
Thank
it
you very
was
much.
in spite. But
I'm going to show the camera panel here because I just opened it to.
Nice.
It's a great word.
To be fair, it is. Now, for the benefit of the casual viewers and such like that, Sins of Limbo, first issue is going to be available soon. I'm assuming, are you going to do a digital release on it, or?
Not for the very first issue. For the first issue, I think I'm just going to do physical.
Nah, fair enough. Is it still one of those things that you got aimed for the end of June for them to start coming to you, or what's that?
Yeah, it's going to be June or July when I get them printed in bulk to be able to sell properly. But yeah, by the end of July latest, that's when they'll be available.
Nah, fair enough. How many issues have you got planned of it? I mean, again, most of these things, we've had these conversations. It's like, it feels really forced asking you stuff that I already know the answers to, but it's the benefit
now
of
now that you're on the other side, don't you think I did a very good job interviewing you?
You did. You managed to maintain your composure, and you did a very good job.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
This is going to be a 3 or 4 issue run. I made this very... without really thinking long term when it comes to actual stories. I know how I'm going to end all the issues. It's just whether I can think of enough to go through 3 or 4 chapters, which I probably will be able to once I sit through, because I've got the last issue written out, and I've got chapter 2 written through. So if I can do those two, I can squeeze a third in.
Fair enough. Well, I can relate to that. I mean, as you know, with mine, when I did the first issue, I was planning 5, and then it ended up being 4 because
Exactly.
I want to get to this part now. Do I want to drag this out? No. Yeah, so I can completely relate. So, but the format
it's just a case of
sorry, first.
The things that come to my head at random times. For example, our conversation last night. that will be going in an issue. That's things like that.
Is that the cameo from the historic figure that we were talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And the wonderful back and forth I have planned with him or her. But yeah.
Or both. Because I remember the other historical figure that we mentioned.
It's true.
I'm sorry, man. You did a really professional job on mine, and I'm sort of derailing this. But
It's all good. It's all good, man.
But obviously, we did it so it ties in with the suit series of
yeah.
mine. So it's all under the Team Venom Comics banner. One of the things that I've been holding off on announcing that I don't know, I'm going to let you announce if you like, is the back page of this of this copy that we both got. So
yes. From the writer of The Suit and the writer of Sins of Limbo. That's us.
Spoiler alert, it's the pair of us.
Yeah. Spoiler. Comes a groundbreaking comic event coming 2022. Rory Bailey, Connor Franks, last rights, an all-new Suitiverse event.
For the benefit of anyone watching it along, because of my series being called The Suit, I don't want them to think that I came up with that because you've penned that name.
That was me.
So it wasn't an ego thing, but I would happily take it.
Made sense, man. It's spawning from your stuff, so we might as well just roll off that.
Well, yeah, it's like the thing of, I mean, the last rights plan that we're doing is the 4-issue series that continues both of our stories, but wraps them up neatly in a little crossover. Because, well, your Sins of Limbo is sort of a spin-off, but not a spin-off at the same time, isn't it? Which is the best way for it to tie in. To be fair, is like there's more information on your character to a degree in mine, but you don't need to read any of mine to understand yours, because yours is a really good intro, and it works well.
And vice versa, you can pick up mine and learn a little bit about yours without getting anything spoiled.
Yeah.
If anything, it's another branch of story towards the Suitiverse in general, rather than being a spin-off or something else entirely. Like there's, not exactly a spoiler because there's a cameo from the Suit in there. Yeah,
and spoiler alert for issue 5 of the Suit, which hasn't come out yet. That is also going to feature many references to. I wonder what Connor's is. like the Simpsons episode when they invented Poochie for Itchy and Scratchy. I was like, all the characters should be saying when Poochie's not on screen, I wonder where Poochie is. That's essentially what I've done for issue 5.
The Poochie of the Suitiverse. I'll take it.
Not the same as a Poochie, but it's that reference of just.
Yeah.
I wonder where it is, and then just a little dialogue box. Pick up Sins of Limbo. But yeah, no, I've thoroughly enjoyed reading through it. I read it digitally when you did it, and I've read it again a few times because I, when I was doing the bits of the submissions to the printers for you and stuff. So I read it again then, and then I read it again today because of it. I feel like I can absorb things better when I've got a physical copy in front of me.
Yeah,
and this
which is
turned out very nice.
Which is why I'm not planning to do a digital release for the first edition, purely because I think, me personally, physical, I can't enjoy digital comics.
No,
and that's not a knock to anyone who makes them or prefers them. It's just personally, I can't. I like to be able to have it in my hand, and it's that simple. I like it when it's in my hand, and I like being able to physically turn the pages rather than just clicking. It feels, I don't know, maybe it's a nostalgia thing, but personal preference. And I think as well, it'll just be cool that for anybody who wants chapter 1, when all the issues have been released, for anyone who wanted chapter 1 has to have it physically.
Yeah.
I just think it's a cool way to do it.
To be fair, it is very good. I mean, it's really difficult because I want to ask you about some of the things in it, but I also don't want to spoil anything else because I also want people to buy everything. So what sort of inspiration did you have for your character and such? What sort of, were there any particular comic book titles that helped inspire your character?
Just a little independent one called The Suit. There was one in there who looked vaguely like him, and I was like, let's go. Yeah, no. Not really. Bloodborne / Hellboy kind of vibes. Yeah. As the setting for The Suit is Limbo, but in the Suitiverse, Limbo is
it's its own thing, isn't it?
It's the devil's playground. So, you're a bad person whatever the deal is, you sold your soul, etc. You don't always go to hell. Sometimes you go to limbo. Limbo is a city that just festers evil, and there's no laws. Why would there be? It's for the devil to watch and be amused by it. So there's all manner of criminal in there, from purges to, I'm not going to pretend to remember them.
Well, I remember some of them, but I don't want to say them in case I spoil something.
No, so there's rotters, there's purifiers, which are torture-obsessed maniacs, and then there's also fires that are almost like their own demons, and they'll just tear through the city until they've killed enough people to quench its hunger. And anyone, it's not just bad people that go there. Sometimes it's people who the big guy upstairs rejects because, you know, oh, you don't believe in me. Naughty. And that's when those people end up in limbo, they either embrace the evil and more than likely than not join one of factions that I've just mentioned, or a few that I haven't, or they will just try and survive and be the prey in that world.
Yeah. One of the factions, am I allowed to talk about your first antagonist, or do you reckon that's too much of a spoiler?
I think
just skip that ahead.
I think
we'll skip this part. But
hold on.
What was your inspiration for that antagonist?
Based on real events, allegedly.
Yes. Fair enough. And to be fair, said real events can be actually seen in a panel of issue 4 of The Suit.
Yeah, it's a nice little teaser for it in there. Yeah, we won't go to the antagonist because, as I say, that's right at the end. That is the straight up spoiler. But yeah, shoot. Next question. Hit me with it.
So, I know obviously you've done it in the same sort of format as mine and such, but I know you'd looked at getting them in the full comic size, because mine were in like the handy little A5 booklet sort of sizes for those. I know obviously there's the uniformity between the series and stuff, but this does look really nice in this format. What sort of format do you prefer? Do you prefer this in these sort of sizes or the traditional comic size?
I think based off aesthetic and also the fact that it goes with the entire Team Venom Comics line, I prefer this. Now that I've seen all of them together, because obviously as you can see in the bottom corner of my screen, you can see issue 1 and 2 there of the suit.
Yeah. so there are.
Yeah. I've also got issue 1 and 2 framed on my wall in impeccable condition.
In one of these sorts of things.
In exactly one of those sorts of things. So I feel like it was the right call to go with this, because it just goes nice together. And I feel, especially if, obviously I don't know what we're going to do Team Venom Comics as a whole. If when it comes to individual issues like this, I know you've got, I don't know, have you announced it?
I don't know. I can't. I'm not bothered. I mean, I mention loads all the time. So, were you going to say about the Team Venom Presents thing? Or?
No, I was going to say the graphic novel version you've got.
Oh yeah. That's also behind me, and huge.
That's what I mean. So if you just hold up that and a normal issue of the suit.
Yeah, this is actually bigger than a normal graphic novel as well. So yeah, but it does look beautiful in this size, just because of pieces.
I think it was
pieces
like
that.
Every individual issue.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I just think it's better because any individual issue we do like this, I think is perfect for us to do it this size, unless we do the graphic novel, obviously version to sum up, a chunk of time to do it like that.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Is Sins of Limbo the only comic series you've got planned, or are there other bits and pieces that you're looking at now that you've started this?
Well, you know the answer to
I
that.
know the answer. That's why I'm asking the question
yeah.
for the viewers.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got another one that I've got the idea for, and I've been writing a little bit, but that one's gonna probably take a lot longer because I'm gonna have to go fun in with the art on that one because it's not a character that's just based on me. It's not a character based on anyone I know. It's it's gonna be a completely original character and original story, and quite frankly, nothing like the Suit or Sins of Limbo.
Yeah,
like completely just out there. Maybe in the same universe, because fuck it. But
yeah, I mean, there's no pressure either way, really. I remember what your ideas were, and I quite liked it. But if you were doing it as a standalone or however, I think it would work. However you want to do it. So
it's right now the idea is golden, but the execution is going to be the challenge.
Fair enough. Do you want to talk about the idea just so that it's somewhere in case anyone does it first? So you've like, aha, Sue, I've got it on a video.
Yeah.
Which is my main reason for doing these comics to begin with. If some motherfucker beats me to it, I'll be pissed off.
Yeah, the gist of it is a high school girl who somehow, I'm not going to go into obviously all the story details, but manages to get the ability to not read minds, but be able to hear each person she touches deepest, darkest secret. So, when she gets this, she brushes past a kid in the hall, and his deepest, darkest secret is he cheats on a video game. And then, she hugs her boyfriend, and his deepest, darkest secret is he's gay.
I thought you were going to say he banged
and that's her adjusting. And that's like, just little things like that, adjusting to what her powers are.
Yeah.
English. And then it's going to be a case of she finds out a dark secret about her missing friend, and she has to try and prove that she's A, is missing and didn't run away, B, is held against her will, but because she can only hear the darkest secrets from people's heads, she actually has to physically find proof and things like that. So it's a little paranormal-ish, but it's also got some kind of detective vibes, but none of them are dressed like rabbits or anything like that. They're just in a high school.
Well, to be fair, it does sound awesome, and I am very much looking forward to reading your script and seeing your drafts when they come through. Because for the benefit of the viewers, one of the things that the pair of us have done quite a lot is start working on a comic, and I'm like, right, I've done a page here, have a look, and we do that quite a bit with each other. And
Much.
I know. I'm pretty sure that was what the messages were until about midnight last night as well, wasn't it? So it's just happens a lot, and I'm very grateful to be able to actually have someone like yourself that I can spitball ideas at. I mean, yesterday...
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. But like yesterday, for example, I was struggling with an ending for issue 6, where I got like a few different ideas, and I like threw them at you, and then you gave me an idea that I've actually thought, yeah, that's quite good, and then built on that, and then there we go, issue 6 is done. So it's nice to have the soundboard. So anyone out there that's thinking of doing their own comic book and all that sort of stuff, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I would give them is to find someone to actually bounce ideas off, because that's been a massive godsend for me. And yeah, so what advice would you give anyone else that's looking into doing this? Would yours just be find someone that you hate and spite it?
I mean, that worked for me. Just basically being like, well, he did it, so I bet I can. And guess what? I can. But no, if you want to do it. It's honestly, and I'm probably going to get all comic creators pissy here, but it's not difficult. Your idea will soon turn into half a script or bullet points of your story, and then those bullet points will turn into more character development in that first issue, and then that character development will turn into a storyline growing, and then that storyline growing will you'll start to visualize what's going on in each of these sentences, and then that's how it goes. A single sketch on each thing can completely progress into being, you could have the next Wolverine level of comic book. Just enjoy it. When it comes to, don't worry about the printing. There's plenty of good places that you can get a decent amount of copies printed for a very good price. I'm not going to do your standard advertisement thing of for a good price, and then it's like 150 out there.
Yeah. Well, it's I mean, as you were saying about the thing of starting to get your ideas down and snowballing, this is from a conversation that we had the other day. And when we had one of our little chats on Zoom, and it ended up being a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full pages of just scribbles and such, and that's essentially an entire comic book scripted out by default because of one conversation we had where we had an idea of, oh, what if we did this and what if we did that, and that's so it's always good to scribble down stuff. But with you saying about the costs, these things, I mean, if you want to do something and everything, don't expect to make money on it. Making money is a nice bonus, isn't it? But you can pretty much, these sorts of sizes and more normal comic book sizes, it's easy enough to self-finance with them. I've personally, for mine, the amount that I'd normally spend on comics a month, I've spent on getting my own printed. And you don't have to have thousands of them. You can order 50 or 25 or whatever from certain places. There's certain companies that you'll be able to find that will do small runs. So it's just one of those things where it's nice that we're able to, and it's also, for me personally, I don't know about yourself, but I'm quite proud of the fact that we haven't had to go on like Kickstarter or crowdfunding or Indiegogo or any of those sorts of things, because I do get the point of them, and they are very good for what they do for other characters and creators and stuff. I think we have the bonus of, because it's all stuff that we've done in-house, we haven't had to subcontract to anyone to do anything. I have the satisfaction of going, right, I'm writing this comic, I'm getting it done. You know what? I've finished it now. Well, I'm going to order 10 copies straight away and see what they turn out like. Instead of those Kickstarter campaigns where you're having to wait months or you've got a deadline, and if you don't meet a certain target, you aren't getting it. And do you know what I mean? It's just, I do get the justification in them. And
you've come across a good point there by saying we did it in-house, because while I understand people will have this character in mind that they've thought of his backstory, her backstory, their plans, but everybody creates a character, and she's gonna be tall, she's gonna be long legs, she's gonna have a nice figure, she's gonna be badass because that's what people want. But don't be afraid to use yourself as a character. You cannot sell any kind of character you could create better than you can sell a character that is based off yourself.
Which I will point out has worked really well for this, because there's been points where, like, for example, what some of the feedback I've had off the suit is, I started reading this and thought, that's so Rory, and things like that on there, and how we've wrote you and our interactions and such, especially since Limbo, which is what we're here for. That I'm reading through that, and the mannerisms, the dialogue, the way that your main character speaks, and obviously the physical appearance and such is all you, and that translates really well, and it works. I've
heard it before, but Rory, is that not the most me panel ever?
Yes, it is. And then I'm gonna have to find one that's gonna be like, oh, is this not the most just doing 1, 2? Let's where is it? No, because some of these my character's like a bit of a hard bastard, and I'm not. so I'm gonna find something that's a bit more limp-wristed.
2 words, macho man.
Yes, that is a very good point. That is a very big of my guy gets the ability to change his gear into whatever the hell he wants to and fly around and do all that shit. It's the first thing, macho man. Oh man, I really want to make a fan film just to wear that sort of costume.
That'd be good. But yeah, that'd be my advice: is unless you've already dreamt and you know what your fictional character is going to look like and backstory and all that stuff, don't be afraid to use yourself as the main character. Obviously, it's a comic book. You can vary your life, you can vary your background, you can vary, give yourself powers or whatever the case is. But when it comes to mannerisms or tone or reactions to certain things, you can't write anything better than how you would react or what your mannerisms are. And I think that's very rare in indie comics, at least, because we're part of a few like indie comic groups and things like that. We see a lot of things.
Good stuff
good stuff. I'm not knocking it. I just mean that they're all. I haven't seen one in those groups. Obviously, they're just groups. There'll be other indie comics that do it, but in these groups, I haven't seen any others that are based on themselves.
Yeah. And
what I would say as well.
Sorry, you first.
Before you go, if for any other advice on comics and whatnot, go and listen to our talks with Rich Perot, because he goes much more into detail on his individual process.
Yeah.
Which obviously it's his process, but it's still good to know if you're gonna delve into the world of comics.
Well, yeah, and not only that, it's not just his process, but his experiences. It's nice to be able to hear stuff like that, where you've got someone that's essentially like one of the most professional comic book people that we've had on one of these things, and there's just some sound advice on there. So yeah, I'd second that for anyone to check that out. So yeah, one of the things that we may as well talk about, because we mentioned it earlier, is our Last Rites crossover that we're planning and such. Because just to clear up on there, let's show. We've got the little teaser. They're at the bottom of the last page of your Sins of Limbo, and there'll be a teaser in issue 5 of the suit, and there'll be little teasers here or there building into that and in the suit and such. And I'm assuming in Sins of Limbo as well. That's something that the pair of us just decided to, from one of our chats where we snowballed and everything. It's one of those, yeah, like how this very video was snowballed quite a bit, to be fair. But for me, it was one of those things where I've never seen any indie comic writers collaborate with each other. On all the groups that we're on, I don't think I've seen any posts of people saying, I'm after another writer to cross their character over with mine, and so on and so forth. So I am really looking forward to that. And I think and for the benefit of the public that are potentially watching this or listening in or looking into this, say 6 months down the line when we've actually got an issue of Last Rites out or whatever, for the benefit of them, to try and to how we're going about it, I think it's one of the best ways of going up with a crossover of I do an issue, you do an issue, I do an issue, you do an issue sort of thing, and alternate it that way, with an overall theme that we've both agreed on.
Yeah.
On such, which I am really looking forward to that project, probably more than the rest of my suit run that I've got, because obviously the characters are tying into that, but that's sort of, I am very excited about that project. just throwing it out there.
It's gonna be, it's gonna be obviously a good story and worth the read, but it's also gonna be incredibly fun for us to make and brainstorm and talk about each other's, because it's not, even though we're switching issues when we do them, it's not like you're going to do an issue and then I get radio silence until it's my turn, and vice versa. It's as much as it's going to be you do an issue, I do an issue, we're going to have as much input on each issue regardless.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
because it's a merger of our characters and possibly some other characters,
which will soon be available in the upcoming Team Venom Presents one shot coming soon in 2021.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's going to be good. It's going to be a good creative process and just very enjoyable to do.
Yeah. So we might as well wrap this up. We've had a nice half hour or so chatting about this stuff. It's been cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining me, Big. You've been a wonderful guest.
And don't forget to check us at Team Venom, at the Team Venom Media Boys on Twitter, Connor the Heel, King_roster. For all your updates on Team Venom Comics, you also go to teamvenommedia.co.uk. I've been Connor Franks. He's been Rory Bailey. Good night.